poppin', everybody? It's your girl, Abbie Knights, checking in again on Unfiltered. You already know we don't hold anything back, and I've got one of my favorite people here today, TateHoskins.
Hello.
He's known for not having a filter. How you doing?
I'm doing so good today, Abby. Thank you for having me back on. I'm excited to be here.
Right, Mister, I say what's on my mind, period. Unapologetically, I do me.
I try to, at least. I try to say what's on my mind.
You do say what's on your mind, though. You really do. Like, you're one of those people that I can send you something and be like, do you think I look good in this? And you'll quickly say yes or no and genuinely mean it.
I think honesty, it's important. You got to be honest with your friends. If you can't be honest with your friends, who can you be honest with? That's what I always say.
Okay, you need friends like that. I appreciate you because I know you tell me how it is. So, what have you been up to lately? Anything exciting?
Yeah, I just released my clothing brand. I think I might have mentioned it the last time that we
You're
spoke, but
working on it. It was an
I've been
idea.
working on it. And yes, it's came so far, and I just released it, and it's been, I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's worth it. It's a big old journey, but that's life. We're it's going good. It's going great.
It's part of the process. Yeah, I remember we were talking about some of those little spicy designs you wanted to throw in there. I was like, okay, Tate, I see you.
Listen, if you go to my Instagram, be careful because there's a little. I gotta display the products.
Okay, wait, hold on a minute, because I don't think I saw that. What you mean? You got the whole shelf out there with the
I might
product on?
have I might have the peaches out. I got the booty out on the Instagram. Yeah,
Okay,
listen.
Tate.
You gotta
You
market. You
put them
gotta
buns
listen. If
out?
you got if you got products that you gotta advertise, you have to believe in your products. I always say that. So yes, I got the buns out in I have a jock strap as part of the clothing line that I launched, and so you gotta wear what you make. I don't know.
Okay. Spicy, spicy. And I'm sure it comes in tons of different colors, right?
Just black, but I kept it that way intentionally. I wanted it to be
Keep it
classic,
sexy. Mm-hmm.
sexy, classic,
Classy
nice,
jockstrap.
clean.
He said clean, clean lines. We're going, we keeping things traditional with the all black. Oh my
Yep.
goodness, Tay, I just adore you. Like, look at this face. Just always glowing, always happy, always putting good vibes out there, always wanting the best for people. Like, I love that about you. You genuinely wish good on people. You're not a jealous person. You're very much like, go get yours, proud of y'all, root you on, but I'm going to be my own best competition.
I really love that you said that because I
Mm-hmm.
mean I'm such a big believer in that, and a lot of people say that I get on the internet or that I come online and I just I lie to people. I get that a lot, that I lie to people to make them feel good and da da da. But the thing is that when I talk about things or when I spread the positivity, I'm not doing it to gas somebody up or to like set someone up for failure. I'm literally just encouraging people the same way that I want to be encouraged because I need positivity. I need good vibes. That's why we're friends because you always send me the good vibes. And yeah, you got to put it out in the world because then it comes back to you. I really do firmly believe in that.
But I mean, I adore you anyway. So it's not like it's not a fake thing. I mean, I tell you all the time, I'm like,
I
hey,
know. I know. And it's real. And that is real. And but it's
boo.
always I just believe so heavily in putting positivity out there and put your heart into it, mean it. You know what I mean? Just like
Hmm.
be for real. And I don't think a lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people don't have that.
It's not as common as it should be, honestly. And they're usually the ones to be the first one to be like, oh, they're fake, they're lying. But I mean, let's take a
Hmm.
look at self, okay?
And the amount of people that I see that'll have they'll post comments on videos, and not even just mine, but other people's videos, just saying mean and hurtful and nasty things.
Hmm.
And then you go to their profile, and the first thing in their bio says like, "Spread joy, be kind." I'm like, you fake hoe, you are fake, and I don't like it.
Yeah, it's the well. I think I think honestly self-reflection is necessary. A lot of people don't self-reflect. And that's a real thing. Um but it's nice to at least well look, at least the internet, the one thing it's going to do is eventually show you who somebody is. But I do love that you take the time out to speak openly about your views on certain things, like The Little Mermaid. You were going in, and I know a bunch of people were like, well, what do you know? You're white. You don't know about this. You're like, right is right and wrong is wrong. And what y'all are doing is crazy. And I think a lot of people appreciated the fact that you're just calling it how it is. Speaking of, I mean, how did that make you feel?
Yeah, it's really funny that you bring up The Little Mermaid because
Mm-hmm.
that video that I did a while back, that it did reach a really big audience, and I was so happy that it did because I really stand behind the message. But I recently did a video where I talked about, have you heard about Beyonce's new country song and the mess that people were trying to spread about it and everything? And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as I come on here in a cowboy hat, I
Come
had to
on now.
have a little bit of an opinion. And of course, I talked about it on my
Mm-hmm.
platform, and I talked about the origins of country music.
Mm-hmm.
And in the original video that I made, I said that people of color, created country music. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, a lot of black people actually told me, Tate, like, it's not people of color. Black people specifically created country music. And it was a really good opportunity for me to take a step back, because
Mm-hmm.
I spoke thinking, oh, like this is, I'm saying the right thing, I'm doing the right
Like it's the
thing. And then,
politically correct way of using that
right.
terminology, right?
And then I was corrected in that, and they said it's not people of color in this instance, it was specifically black people, and you should say that. So
Mm-hmm.
I, of course, I came on and I apologized and I said, yeah, it was black people, and I actually gave a little bit of the history of country music. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it's in that instance of taking something where you could be defensive or you could be, combative, and you could feel XYZ. But I think using those moments to educate yourself and educate other people, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the important part. You got to always be willing to learn and always be willing to educate and always be willing to, to take a little reflect on the inside, self-reflection, like you were saying.
Mm-hmm. It's important to do that. A lot of people don't like to look inside. Sometimes they don't like what they're seeing. But, that sounds like a personal problem to me. Anyway, speaking of um, bodies and personalities and opinions, a while back I saw that you put up a video. There was a more curvy girl that had put something up. She was being bullied really bad and she was crying and she was calling herself ugly and like all these terrible names. And you put up a response to it and you were telling her she was beautiful. And I did see a lot of the response in the comments. Today, we're definitely going to be focusing on something that I think is important to have a discussion about. People often don't like to have these types of discussions. But when you're comparing personality versus body, I mean, it's so easy to go outside and just pick someone that's good looking. I mean, we all like something that looks good. You know what I mean? We're all guilty of that. But at the end of the day, what holds greater value, right? A body changes. A body
Hmm.
changes, but a soul and a personality, a character should stay the same. So, should the value really be in what you see externally in the shallow side of things, or should more of the value be considered in who a person actually is? Because if you're overweight, you can get in shape. If you're in shape, you can gain weight. And at the end of the day, gravity is going to defy everybody. So, because I'm sure, listen, one day my boo's probably gonna be playing ping pong with my knees, but they got doctors for that, okay? Because I'm not gonna go down there. I'm gonna be 80 years old with a nice firm set, okay? So I
Me
made
and you
that
both,
decision
honey.
already.
Me and you both.
Like we can't go out like that, say. So what's your opinion? Because I know I mean, we all have our things that we are a little more insecure about, right? Privately. It's not something we all go talking to people about. But there's things I feel like if we all could change or make a little adjustment, we would. But when you're talking about the overall picture, when it comes to friends, dating, and just society in general, what's your take on, the comparison of who somebody is versus what they look like?
Oh my God, I could write a 50-page thesis on this subject. I'm telling you what. So, a little bit of background
Mm,
on this particular subject is, for those of you, for anyone watching that doesn't know this, I also work, I do social media, I have my clothes, and I also work in the adult entertainment industry. Is that okay if I say that on here?
yeah.
So I work in the adult entertainment industry, and as you can imagine, in that industry, so much of what it is that we do is sort of under this umbrella of our self-image and how we look. I mean, because that's what people are clicking on your videos for. If they don't
Mm-hmm.
like the way you look, they're not gonna watch the video, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it so often, these really beautiful men come on, men and women and non-binary folks, they'll come on and they have just amazing bodies, but they have really low views and they have really low clicks and really low followers. And you sort of start asking yourself, like, I wonder how that is. This person is so sexy, they're so attractive. But
Mm-hmm.
then you look a little closer, you sort of look under the surface and you realize that they have no personality. There is nothing behind those eyes. And I hate to say it that way, but there's no spark, there's no
Yeah.
personality. And I think, in the adult entertainment world, you see that it's a very black and white thing. It's very transparent. You can see right
Mm.
through it immediately. But I think, you take that perspective and you apply it into our everyday lives. A lot of people put this pressure on themselves to look a certain way, to have, you know, lip filler and their
Mm-hmm.
eyelashes done, and they have these skin things and like all this stuff. And like realistically, they haven't, their personality. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
let's work on that a little bit. Can we put a little bit of that
Can we
energy
work on
up
you just having
here?
some substance to go along with your
Yeah.
face?
Let's take a little bit of what we are doing up here,
Mm-hmm.
and let's put it into a little bit of like character development, because I really do
Yeah.
believe that like a lot of people, they say they're ugly, they say they're unattractive, or nobody wants to be with them. I get this comment a lot when I talk about this, but they use the word unfiltered. They say that. They say I am unfiltered. And I literally can only read that and say, if you are putting your foot forward with that mentality,
Mm-hmm.
of course the world is going to view you that way. That's
Right.
what else would you want me to think?
I mean, if that's how you're advertising yourself.
You
But
gotta be, a little bit of a champion.
but even what about the flip side of that? Like now with women, there's this whole entitlement thing where if you look a certain way, you have to be maintained. The man has to provide certain things. He has to be paying for, like the girl that was talking about the guy that had sent her $30 for lunch. And she's
Oh,
like, I was expecting $100 because minimum, that's what I spend every time. First of all, boo boo, don't nobody go out and spend $100 every day going to lunch. I know millionaires that don't spend that kind of money when they go out to lunch every day. So where do you draw the line on, I guess, the perception of what value is? So it's kind of like I look good. I come to the table bringing my looks. That should be
hmm.
enough. I put it down in the bedroom. Maybe they might be great, might not, but they still look good, right? I mean, I don't know.
To be determined. To be determined.
To
Mhm.
be determined, right? And well, because I feel like when people talk about how they're like so good in bed, they're usually never good in bed. And it's
Oh my
very
god.
disappointing. Anytime I've dated somebody and they like to brag about how I do this, I do that, put you in 7 different positions, give you 20 orgasms in one night, and I'm like, yeah, you not working with nothing.
And they're a
Um,
two-part. I see it all the time. I see it all the time.
and then they'll be like, oh, I'm so big, and then all of a sudden it's like so small. You're like, oh my
Yeah.
god, it's so cute.
If they got to talk about it, something's wrong. If they
They're
have to
not gonna
tell
be
you
about
about
it.
it.
But with the women especially, because even girls that I've known, and they always brag about how, girl, my head game be on point because I do this, I do that, I put it down, I look good, he got this body yaddy. And I'm always like, okay, but if a dude would have sent me $30 just out of
Yeah.
nowhere to just be like, hey, go get lunch, that's thoughtful. Thank you.
That's
Be
so nice.
appreciative. It's not like, oh, it's like even going out to lunch, where like these girls are complaining, and you expected me to come out like that, but yeah, you wearing a Fashion Nova outfit. So I'm just like, make it make sense. Like, what's your thoughts on? Because it's so weird to me, and I'm like, this is exactly why men today are no longer romantic or partners. I don't care if you're gay, lesbian, green, blue, purple, whatever. It seems like it's playing out the same way almost in every aspect, because people are coming into situations with expectations, bringing absolutely nothing to the table. Like, being thoughtful is being thoughtful. Even if it's like your favorite juice in a candy bar, that person still took the time to think about you and get something that they know you like, that they paid attention, observing, what you
Right.
like. And I think that's a thoughtful thing. It's not, I think society is so stuck on money and looks. Like, just because you look good does not mean that I need to be doing all this for you. I'm going to do what I want to do for you because it's something that comes out of my heart that I want to do. But it should never be an expectation of me being required to provide financially, or I have to buy you 10 Hermes bags, but yet you can't afford to buy yourself a Michael Kors. Like, where's people where are people getting reality so misconstrued? Because I'm confused.
Yeah, it is. It is a very icky thing to sort of observe. I see a lot.
Definitely a Nick.
I'm gonna definitely an ick. I'm gonna kind of draw a parallel here with something that I see a lot,
Hmm.
especially online and in the fitness world. It's very common where a lot of men, right? They'll be very like gym rats. They'll be bulky, whatever. They'll be ripped out of their mind, and then they will make videos and they'll talk about women like, oh, if you look like this, or you're this weight, or you don't hit the gym this many times a week, like don't even try to get with me or whatever, right? And I think that mentality is sort of right parallel with the girl in this case that, she got $30, which, come on, $30 for lunch around where I live, that's like 6 meals at Wendy's, girl. Let's be real. Let's make it stretch.
We can
Okay,
make it
let's make it
work, okay?
but I see
Yeah.
that. I think that parallel is it's so obvious, and it
Hmm.
is so gross because when you put so much emphasis, and I swear to God, I'm telling you all the truth. When you put so much emphasis on looks, you miss out on so much good because
Hmm.
looks are surface level. There's surface level. There's no way, and there's no way that you can define someone solely by their looks. It is never the case. It is never the case. I mean, you can never know someone's story. You can never know when
Right.
someone's, character or intentions. And I just think that I think it's such I'm going to use the term emotionally immature way to go about life. I think when you have emotional maturity, you are
Hmm.
able to, as a person, make that discernment of, oh, this guy did this thing for me. He gave me this money, or he gave me this thing just as a gesture. Or,
Hmm.
oh, this girl is interested in me because, because she thinks this or that about me. Being able to make that discernment, I think
Hmm.
that's the thing, is a lot of people lack emotional maturity. And I think it honestly might be a product of just the way that we're kind of conditioned as a society. Like, people put so much emphasis on their kids. Like, you got to dress like this and act like this, or the kids are going to make fun of you, and you got to do this and this, and you can't hang out with those kids because those are the losers, and you're
Hmm.
whatever. I think it all starts in the home, and I think
Hmm.
I just a very unfortunate thing that a lot of people never hit their emotional maturity.
It's a very ignorant way of looking
Oh,
at things, judging somebody by the way they look. First of all, you could not have much today and become a millionaire in a couple years, and you could
mm-hmm.
have a lot and lose it all. So I don't know where
Lose
people
it.
get
Yeah.
this like grandiose, like, is that even a word, like this
Grandiose,
greater
baby. I
than
know
life.
exactly what you mean.
Like, this larger than life type of persona, just because everyone's so caught up in the Instagram world, the social world, where nothing is typically real.
Nothing
Listen,
is
I've
real
had
on this.
friends that have had to sue really big, well known social media influencers because they were coming and taking photos on their property saying it was their house. We just bought the
Oh,
house, new keys, whoop whoop whoop. And no, it was not your house. You were trespassing on private property. And
oh,
it's not cute. Even with like the Insta model look with guys, at least on the straight side, okay? Because I can't speak for
yeah,
same sex couples because I'm not
yeah, yeah.
traveling in that world. But, and I don't want to sound ignorant with anything I'm saying, but I know men now, it's all about like you got to have a small waist and your boobs got to be like this and your booty got to look like that. I'm like, first of all, real bodies don't look like that. Some people are blessed with incredible physiques, but for the most part, everybody's body does not look like that. And
Yeah.
now, if you don't, you're ridiculed. It's kind of like, okay, you know what? We gonna go there. Let's talk about the girl on Love Is Blind.
Oh my god.
Okay,
The
first of
Megan
all,
Fox lookalike, the doppelganger.
um, I'm just, you both have blue eyes. I get it.
Mm.
But here's my thing, even with her, and I know a lot of people have been trolling her because of like her body type and stuff like that. I don't feel like that's cool. I don't think that Megan Fox was the right comparison for her because I don't feel like she looks. My brother's ex-girlfriend looks just like Megan Fox. Body, face, hair, black hair, blue, the whole nine. But I don't feel like she was accurately presenting herself with that comparison. But now, if you really look into it, though, right? Why are people shaming her the way that they are, based on maybe in her world, she feels like she really resembles her cool. But is it really right to shame her for because she doesn't have a booty that looks like this, or you know?
You know what I really do, I believe it, and I see it. It's so common is that the internet, and I say the internet sort of as a collective whole, right?
Mm-hmm.
The internet loves to humble. And that is like, if there's one thing you can count on, the internet is going to
Listen.
humble every
Mm-hmm.
opportunity they get. And I
Yes.
think anytime you come on the internet and you put yourself out there in any way, right? Whether
Mm-hmm.
you're just
Mm-hmm.
on TikTok posting thirst traps, or if you're on Instagram posting selfies, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
the likelihood of you getting someone who is probably, let's be honest, living in their mom's basement, someone who probably doesn't have the courage to even call and make themselves a doctor's appointment. These people are miserable that live on the internet. And I don't mean that for everyone. I'm just saying for this group that does this often. They're miserable, or they're kids. They're like 13, 14,
Mm-hmm.
and they get behind a screen and they think that it makes them, powerful and anonymous. And most of the time it does. It gives them a lot of power over
Yeah.
people. And they take the opportunity to be a bully. And it's sad because there's really never like repercussions for that. If for example, if that girl that was from Love Is Blind was, let's just say, at the grocery store, right? And she was talking to her friend in the cereal aisle, and she was like, "Yeah, people tell me I look like Megan Fox sometimes." If you were a passerby, you would hear that, and you might be like, oh, "Whatever, this girl thinks she looks like Megan Fox." But you're never gonna like approach her and say,
Yeah.
this is wrong with you. You look like this. This
Mm-hmm.
is a
Mm-hmm.
comparison. And for you to even insinuate that, like, how are you not embarrassed? But on the internet, it gives people that anonymity, and so they can go forward and like be a bully
Yeah.
with no consequences
At all. And
at
that's the
all.
sad part to it too. I mean, look, I think we're all shallow to a degree. Okay. If I go
All of us.
outside and I'm looking at some, I mean, I have a certain thing I like to see, a certain type of person I'm attracted to, and we all have it, right? Like I have friends that they just love a heavier guy. They're like, I just
Yeah,
love a dude with a big belly, and then I
that's
got
me.
look,
That's
and
me.
then okay, see, and then I got friends that like a nice six pack.
Hmm.
So aesthetically, if we're out and you see somebody, I mean, you're initially gonna be attracted to what you're attracted to, but at what point do you start figuring out where that value comes in on who a person actually is versus how they're presenting themselves, right? So, I mean, where do you think people should draw the line? These keyboard trolls are out of control, by the way. They just are doing a
They
lot these days. And you know what's crazy? I love the ones that like to troll the celebrities. And I've seen like Chris Brown and a few other people do that, and then they go to their profile and then they start just listen roasting the hell out of them, like, you're out here talking about this, but let's talk about your weave, and let's talk about this, and you can dish it but you can't take it. Now all of a sudden the other person becomes the bully, but it's okay to be a troll anonymously. So I just want to understand, especially with you being able to kind of shed an opinion in a different space from me, right? Because I feel like men and women can be very different than same-sex couples. Um, where do people draw the line in figuring out where do you place most of the value, and does it even matter? Like, would you want to be with somebody that looks a way that you're attracted, but they don't bring anything to the table?
Yeah, that is such a great question because I think a lot of people go through life without ever asking themselves that question. And that's why a lot of these people, I see it time and time again, they're in these relationships for a couple weeks, a couple months. It's one
Mm-hmm.
after another. They're on Tinder, they're on, other apps. And they never have any luck finding that other person because they
Mm-hmm.
never stop to think like, what is it that I'm looking for in this person? And like, what is the characteristics? I mean, there's the superficial ones as, oh, well, we have the same hobbies or they like to go hiking or whatever. But when you really dig deeper, you realize I think a lot of people really they don't ever ask that or make that delineation. And so
Mm.
I think realistically as a culture, I'm going to always spread this message is that I think we should number one, we should be loving ourselves first.
Okay.
We should be looking in the mirror and
Yes.
loving what we see, no matter what that is, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what faults and etc. And I think that once, or if we were ever hypothetically in a place where we all loved ourselves, it would be a lot easier to sort of see past that, that surface level. But I will say too, one other quick little thing is that, I do think a lot of people get really hung up on this idea that, looks don't matter at all, right? It's like looks can't have
They do.
any effect on,
Mm.
they do. They do. And I think a lot of people get in their head, they sort of get this I don't know, sort of this expectation that because looks may not matter to them, that it doesn't matter to everybody else. But that's not the world we live in. That's why we have such a crisis on social media of people
Mm-hmm.
bullying people for the way they look and all these things. So I think there is, like you were saying, where is that line? I think that
Mm-hmm.
line will probably never exist. I think that there will never be a time where we as a collective can agree where that line should be. But I do think that this first step is sort of starting to find that line is
Mm-hmm.
looking and saying, I love the person that I see. Like I love
Right.
myself. Then no matter what anybody else says to me outside, looking in, no matter what they say, I know what my value is. I know what my worth is. There's no amount of money or makeup or surgery
Mm-hmm.
or procedures that will ever change my perception on me. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really where it starts. And I think
When it all
that's
comes
that's
down to self-love, right? I
self
mean,
love. Yeah.
saying that looks don't matter is a lie and unrealistic
It
because
is. It is.
we all care about looks. Okay, I don't care what you say, and size does matter. I've been one of those people. I'm like, listen, I don't have a big old booty. I don't look like these Insta models. So if you don't like what you're seeing, keep it pushing. I'm not for you. And that just is what it is. Like, you have to get to a point where it's you got to own what you got.
You
And
you got to own what you have, and that's just on that note. I think a lot of people they don't. I think they get so stuck on I look this way, and therefore I can never obtain X, Y, Z, or I look this way, and I'm unlovable, or like that one person said, I am unfuckable. But that's never the case. It's like just because you look a certain way, if you're putting in the work and energy to like love yourself, love your body, if working out works for you, if eating healthy works for you, great. And if not, you got to embrace that about yourself
mhm.
and just roll with it. And you got to love yourself. That's the biggest thing.
But at the end of the day, what is beauty? It's
Right.
I mean, that's
It's
that's really that's beauty really is perspective. Like, it's very much a personal opinion that somebody has, because you could look at someone and be like, mm, hell no. But somebody else could look at that person and it could be exactly what they want.
yeah.
So I'm just saying, I think that the biggest takeaway from all of this is just people need to learn to be more real with each other and themselves, and
100.
also be better at loving themselves. I mean, if you want to go get some surgery, listen, more power to you. I'm not going to do it, but more power to you. There's nothing wrong with that either. If you're
Right.
doing it for yourself.
If you're doing it for yourself, that's the key.
Exactly.
If you're doing it because you want to have an Instagram body or you want, you're doing your man is whatever. Mm-mm. No, 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 no more, none of that.
Biggest mistake you could possibly make. Now, if you
Biggest.
want to go get you some new little titties or something, you know what I'm saying? You just
You
want them
know,
to
I
look.
was thinking,
Yeah.
I just might.
Hey, I hear that there's enhancements and all sorts of things they could do down there. I mean, look, more power to you, but it has to be a decision for you, not because you want attention or because you want a certain thing, because you're going to end up devastated, heartbroken, and in a really bad situation, possibly health wise. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, own who you are, be a badass in your own space. If somebody looks crazy, it's okay. They look crazy. It's not for you either.
Yeah.
So it's like
If
some
they're
people that are
happy,
into like the way armpits smell. Okay, well, armpits are not for me. I don't want to smell somebody's sweaty socks. But there's somebody out there that wants to smell a sweaty sock. So more power
there
to
is
you.
a market. Yes, ma'am, there is.
It's not for me though. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It is not for me in any way, shape, or form. But that's a conversation for a whole other day. I'm so glad we got to have this conversation. I know you're really big on positivity and really pushing that to a lot of your supporters, and how vital it is to just be a real person regardless of the circumstance. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to correct a mistake. And it's okay to just love yourself regardless of what you got going on or how you look.
Yeah, and I, if I can just share any advice, the big moral of the story with everything we said today is that no matter what, no matter what you think that society expects of you, or what you think, what you think you're seeing in the mirror, the person in your mirror is someone who deserves love. They deserve kindness, and you have to give them that. You have to give yourself those graces, just like you give, your friends or your family or your kids or your parents, whatever. It's like you have to be kind and love that person. So that's my biggest sort of moral of the story there with that.
Aw, you're so cute, Tate. Well, you better let them know. Thank you so much for taking time to come on here and chat with us today, all about self-love. I love me some you always.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoy coming on here and just chatting. And I hope whoever's listening out there takes a little chapter from this one. I think we talked about some big stuff. So hopefully they learned a little thing or two, they can take something with them.
Being real with yourself is a whole different type of situation, though. Everybody's not ready for that. So on that note, we'll be back next week. You guys, make sure you follow us on Instagram at Unfiltered AF Podcast. We'll catch you soon.
Bye.